I suppose if we're going to do a podcast, people should probably know who the fuck we are.
I'm trying to go with a little bit of anonymity still.
So what do you want to be called? Batman?
No. All right.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. No,
I'll just professionally unhinged.
Yeah. I'll go by Matt or Matty. That's fine.
I'm just going to go by Chris, but
okay.
I suppose people should probably know like what we do and how we ended up in this position and like a little bit more about us other than just like here's two talking heads that just yell into the internet about bullshit.
You mean my series of unfortunate events and weird shit that have brought me into your little office here, starting a podcast?
Or the whole series of weird events that put us in each other's lives.
Yes.
The chaos
all the above of like, you couldn't write this, like the odds were against all of this.
Isn't chaos theory weird? You know what it is?
Yeah, but for other people that don't, like I just...
So basically every little decision you make changes the entire trajectory of the future ahead of you, right? Whether you decided to turn right, turn left, 5 seconds earlier, 5 seconds later, it changes the trajectory of everything. If you're 5 seconds, ahead of where you actually were, you could have gotten T-boned, killed, all this other stuff. If you're 5 seconds later, all of a sudden you miss that person running the red light. Or, you eat a ham sandwich versus a turkey sandwich. A ham sandwich makes you sick, so you spend 30 minutes in the bathroom, but that avoided you getting, something else, right? Like, so chaos theory is like...
It's like another name for the butterfly effect.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But it's like every little decision changes the entire trajectory of your life. So just think about like every decision we ever made led us to the point where we ended up in the training room together with you as the instructor and me as a student. How crazy is that? And then every decision past that has maintained us in each other's lives up to this point.
Yeah, we've been through some shit together.
This is me just getting metacognition, thinking about thinking.
Thinking about thinking?
I go down rabbit holes quick, buddy. You gotta keep me on a leash.
Is this where Buddhism takes you, thinking about thinking?
No, I just think it's my ADHD that's completely uncontrolled and a little unhinged.
Okay.
Which is why we're professionally unhinged.
Professionally unhinged. Well, I also think professionally unhinged because there's something seriously wrong with us, but all in the right ways too. Like, and I think that about a lot of first responders. Like, it is not normal to get excited to go to a gunfight, to want to put yourself in that position. There's something wrong with that. You're not sane, but we need people like that. They're kind of like national treasures.
I had oral surgery on Monday to get a tooth, and I have to get IV sedated for any dentistry, right? And I told him, I was like, look, I would rather run into a gunfight than come here. Like, I would rather do a gunfight than do general dentistry. Like, how fucking weird is that? I also think, like, professionally unhinged is like, we're professionals, but a lot of time professionals keep quiet and they keep the secrets and they just play by the rules and they go with the culture, they go with that. But then, like, we're also the upset, we're the ones that rock the boat, and then we're the ones that go, no, that's wrong, that's stupid, and this is why. And we shake a lot of feathers and
Yes.
piss people off a lot. So
And
I
now
think
we're
that's
on our way to the private realms of a whole new careers.
Oh, dude, I'm going to pick fights with the mental health community all day long and the law enforcement community all day long because guess what? It's a podcast and I can get away with it. And if you don't like it, don't fucking listen. Or listen and just bitch about it, put it in the comments so that way we get more traction.
That's true, yeah. I
I'm
have
not
to
gonna read
be
it.
partially good until I get fired or quit.
What we should do is just have all the boys read all the negative comments and then we'll just do a segment of like mean tweets where the boys just read them one by one.
And get like reaction videos out of us. Oh, that's not nice.
That would be perfect.
So yeah, we've it's a long road to get here. Where did you start your life of service?
9/11 kicked off my my senior year, and I was actually in weight training class. It was 0 period, and we saw the second tower fall in that class, and that time, like, everybody's just, yay America. We were on fire at that point, and so I was in the recruiters. I gave it like I knew I was going to go in the military, but I also knew like there was lines.
Yeah.
So I gave it like a couple weeks, and then I went to the Army recruiter. And I knew what I wanted to be. I always knew I wanted to be a cop, so I tried to be an MP. And the Army recruiter's trying to like, oh, go to Rangers. It's this huge SWAT team, and you'll have a great time. And then I found out it was infantry, and then I passed on it. That was one mistake, right? But again, chaos theory, right? So, looking back and knowing what I know about the Ranger Regiment now, dude, I think I would have loved doing that. That would have been fun, but didn't. So I challenged him. I said, give me the contract that I want, or otherwise I'm going to go to the Marines. He goes, no, you won't. So I took the file, walked next door, saw Gunny Getchell, slapped my file down, because I already had the ASVAB, the medical, and all the other screenings done. I was like, hey, I want to be a military police officer. She looks it up, finds a boat space, slides the contract across to me, and that was the end of it. And so,
You showed that Army guy.
Screw you, dude. And of course, I walk out, he's like, gotcha, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't really matter. Numbers are numbers.
Yeah.
But so then I went to boot camp the following August.
But you had already been a police cadet explorer by that point.
Yeah, and there was mentors at Hillsborough Police that kind of guided me in that direction as well.
So you were already kind of on this, even as like a really young man, being involved in the law enforcement community as a cadet explorer kind of thing.
Yeah, I was going on ride-alongs all the time and having a great time. It was.
So then you end up in the Marines.
Yeah, so I go in the Marines in August of 2002. Boot camp, and then all Marines have to go to infantry school. It's just two different variations of it. You have Marine Combat Training, which is a condensed infantry school, and then you have actual SOI, which is the full infantry school if you're going to be a grunt. And so, do the condensed version of it. Then I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, for Military Police Academy, and that fucking sucked. That was my first exposure to OC spray.
Ooh.
Dude, it was snowing, and it was like 15 degrees, but I could have swore my face was melting off my skull. That shit was horrible. Because we get sprayed, and then you have to run this long obstacle course, and get into fights, and of course, being Marines, like nobody flops for you like we do in the academy and stuff like that. So like you're actually in like 8 different fights the entire time, and then you have to walk out on this outside tennis court, but you have to like put gloves on your hands, otherwise you get like hypothermia in your hands and stuff. So you got your face exposed and you just snot and it faces all. I think I saw some pictures of it. I'll find it and bring it in. But then I competed for a position at the Canine Handler School. They had some openings. The Marines is the only one that will offer canine school while in Military Police Academy. All the other branches, canine is a reenlistment bonus.
Okay.
So I went to canine school, and that was my first time cross-training with other branches. So we had like 2 Navy people, a handful of Army, and there was one other Marine in my class with me, and a couple of Air Force guys. And so we did that course, and then I got stationed at my duty station as a military police officer and canine handler, and then deployed 2004 to 2005 as a bomb dog handler, and that was best time of my life. I loved it. It was the first time I actually had meaning and purpose, and I was doing something that was dangerous but also purposeful. Like everybody's coming home. Nobody got blown up on any of the missions I did, so I'm happy with that. Came back, then I became a patrol supervisor, so I was in charge of a platoon of other patrolmen for a while. Got out, got hired at the sheriff's office. That's when we met. Got recalled back to active duty. Went back for another year. Came back to the sheriff's office. Wrapped up my career in 2015 and opened a gym. Ran 9 years of that. And then now I'm a therapist. That's the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah. How long did it take you to go to grad school to get your master's level thing to be a therapist?
So I banged up my bachelor's first during COVID. I banged that one out in 16 months.
Okay. And
then I did my master's. It took about 2 years to finish my master's.
Okay.
And then I'm in the middle of my doctorate right now.
Dr. Chris.
At some point, yeah. That's if the school doesn't stop pissing me the fuck off. Jesus. Like, there's days, man, I'm like, what the fuck's the purpose of this? Like, it's just, somebody told me I couldn't get a doctorate, so now I feel compelled to.
Oh, yeah, I was going to remind you that the purpose behind this is your ego, 100%.
100%, right? It's not really necessary, but I mean, at the same time, like, I do want to learn how to do research to a degree.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to be able to, I'm also now the highest degree earner in my family. And so I also want to be the example to my son and now my grandson that you can change your life at any point in time. Mm-hmm. Like even in your 40s, you can go back to school, completely change everything, the entire trajectory of your life, and that's okay. You don't have to feel stuck all the time, mm-hmm. right? So, yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here, and so. But then, same time, you and I bullshit all the time. We're like, we should probably just record this and put it on the internet. Why not?
People seem to make really good livings doing it, and like with what we want to do in the future. Mm-hmm. It's a good idea to start kind of developing an audience and making our way through that world, getting our name out there versus waiting till like the doors open and now we need to market and advertise.
There's a lot of therapists out there that don't have the life experience that we have, right? So like we have lived experience like on the road doing warrior shit, right? Living that kind of life. Now we have academic experience that helps us understand the why behind everything that we do and what happens to us and how to fix it, right? And then at the same time, now we're also collecting research experience. So you have, experience, academics, and research behind you. That trifecta is unheard of in a lot of other counselors around and other people that are like first responder counselors. I'm not trying to knock them. They're probably all great in their own right. But like that's a very unique thing.
Well, we have an extra level of cultural competency. Like they talk about like finding a culturally competent counselor for like a first responder, someone who like knows how to work and understand some of the issues. There is an empathy that you can have. There is an understanding you can have.
Correct.
It's not the same as a lived experience.
Correct. Right. And I think like because of the distrust that cops have of pretty much anything and everyone, it's easier for us to be able to relate to that and to go, hey, we get it. We've been there, and here's my lowest moment. So trust me, if I can get to here, we can get you there too. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure.
But so 2018, I ended up going to rehab, and I was severely depressed, and my anxiety was off the charts, and tried some self-deletion at one point. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not the man that I should be. I'm not the man that I used to be. I need to get better at this. So opted to go to rehab for 5 weeks. And that experience kind of made a huge switch for me, because then I started to understand the why behind why I was feeling what I was feeling and going through and stuff. But again, none of the counselors had come from that warrior community. So it was still hard for me to be able to explain the things that we've experienced and things that we do and stuff like that. So one of the exercises you do there is like, you have to do your trauma timeline.
Or as I call it, my novel.
Right? And so this trauma timeline, you basically list out all of the things that qualify as trauma over the entirety of your life. And then in a group session, you basically tell this long story of what brought you basically to rehab based off all those traumas. And as I'm writing this, and their level of what constitutes trauma, at the time, my level of trauma, like what I consider to be trauma, is like whatever lands you in like a level 1 trauma center. And apparently the threshold for that is much lower. And I didn't know that at that time. So
the trauma's subjective.
Yeah, I was like, and he shows me what the actual definition of it. I was like, oh man, if you want me to list everything that was traumatic, like we're gonna be here all day. Like, is there a way? He goes, give me like the top 3 incidents from your military and law enforcement career that were the most traumatic, because otherwise, yeah, you're right, we will be here all day. He's like, okay. So we get in the group, and for that one day, like between all the residents, we had 2 groups. Like there was a therapist for one group and a therapist for another group, and then whatever group you were in, that was also your primary therapist while you were there. But my therapist decided it would be beneficial to mix all of the groups together that day. So we had everybody in the room. So I got like 15 people in there, to include like 3 or 4 therapists, and then the campus security guy. And they brought the campus security guy because he was like Army 82nd Airborne guy.
Okay.
And so I cut loose with starting from the beginning and talk about trauma all the way to the end. And I'm just looking at my notes the entire time, like, because I don't really want to make eye contact with anybody. So I'm just reading all the notes. And I get through all of the stories and I get through all of the stuff. And I look up and like 2 therapists are sobbing. And I'm like, uh-oh, I think I broke him. And my counselor's sitting there just writing. He's scribbling, like smoke's coming off his pen and stuff. And then you have to get feedback from everybody in the room. And like a few of them are like, I don't know about this. I didn't know. Snot bubbles and shit like that. So you don't realize just how hard this life is until you say it out loud to a bunch of people that have never lived this life, and then you realize just how trauma you've actually picked up.
Yeah.
And how easy it is to stuff it.
Yeah, easy to just like take it for granted too. Like, that's not such a bad day. We make those jokes. Oh, and that was Tuesday. Yeah, your Tuesday in the first responder field is like the single most worst day of anyone's life, and you do that repeatedly. Right. And you're just like, you get accustomed to it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to do, like, especially with this, is like, if a cop is looking to get out of the job, the mental health field is perfect. Mm. Because, like, think about it, like, everything we do, we've got to improvise on the fly, right? And and we have to be masters of communication. Now, I want to do a series of cop reacts videos to some of the body cam shit that I'm seeing, because like there's so much non-communication and so much non-reaction. Like, I want to fry these people academically, like constructively, right?
Oh, of course, and not funny at all.
Yeah, no,
no jokes.
No, yeah, they'll take a ball busting. But the point is like, you're a master communicator. You learn how to improvise. You understand the depth of human suffering at a degree that nobody else really does. So why not, if you're looking to get out of the job, cool. Let's help you get your master's in counseling and then get into this profession, because I think we need more hard therapists. I think we need therapists that aren't so touchy-feely and so soft, because I don't know how many people I've talked to where they tell their story to their therapist and their therapist is crying.
Yeah.
That is a huge no-no. Like, if you're that impacted by somebody else's story, man, you should not be in this job.
Well, I mean, that therapist probably could do a very good job for a lot of people and normal people. Because, I've met someone who's had that similar experience, like recounting a call of a dead baby kind of thing, and like the counselor starts crying.
Right.
Wait, no, I'm supposed to be the one crying, not my counselor. I'm going to need a new counselor.
Right.
Okay, that doesn't necessarily make the counselor bad. Or just like, that counselor needs to not be working with most first responders on traumatic stuff like that, and that's part of the awareness piece of like, know what comes up for you when you're walking into these realms with your clients.
I was at a martial arts instructor course one time, and we had the instructor was a guy from Serbia, and the Serbs, man, their gym is fucking insane. Like, they go hard, like way harder than I would ever allow in my gym.
Okay.
Like, almost irresponsibly hard. But he's got a great community. Yeah, like, they're savages. I will give him that. They're awesome. Anyway, so he's teaching the class, and he goes, look, you have to divide your class up. You have to think of it like you have your regular infantry people, then you have your rangers, and then you have your special operations people, right? And it's 3 tiers of this. These people down here, the infantry people, right, they can get the job done, but it's not going to be nearly as specialized. It's more just like hammers and screwdrivers, right? Your special operations, like your rangers ones, they're a little more precise, but it's still a bit rough. And then you have your special forces people, which are the really highly skilled, highly capable, and they can go longer, faster, harder, right? Stuff like this. I don't know how it could ever be done, because I don't think it could, but I think that there are therapists that are kind of fit those tiers. You have the general therapist who basically high school, college, counseling school, and then became a therapist. Cool, you're on the infantry side because you really don't have a lot of life experience, right, other than your own bullshit, right? And then you have to have your rangers, which are like, maybe they lived a little bit and then they became a counselor in their 40s, right? Something like that. But they lived a normal everyday life, like working at Home Depot or some shit, right? Cool. Like, they've got a little more life experience. Maybe they got a divorce or a child custody issue, under their belt, or, something like that. Cool. But then you have to have the special forces people, which are the people that are coming out of like military special operations, cops that are getting out of law enforcement, firefighters. There's a firefighter that I know that he's getting ready to retire from TPF&R. Now he's a therapist. Great guy, right? We fall more into that category because we can go harder, faster, longer, and carry far more weight than these other ones down there.
Yeah. And
so you have to look at therapists in those tiers the same way you do with martial arts classes.
So you're saying we're like the special forces of therapists?
We should do that. We should just wear green berets in here just to piss off a bunch of the other green berets out there.
I don't know. I've never considered myself special forces. Definitely just special.
Careful, Mr. Diamond at shoulder. Careful.
Well, actually, like when I was a new guy on that team, one of the partner agencies sent a couple of their senior guys, and one of them starts like busting my chops one day. I mean, this is like seriously like my 3rd week of SWAT, and my halfway through my first week of training, so I know extra nothing. And he's like, yeah, how's it going? I'm like drinking from a fire hose, sir. I'm trying. He goes, oh, so you're saying you pretty much know everything because you've been here like a week? And I'm like, yeah, you're right, sir. I'm definitely swat-tarded. He's like, I'm stealing that one. So that's the coin term that I use for myself, swat-tarded.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you did the SWAT thing, right?
I did.
And that's special.
That is special. It's I don't know. Yeah,
Cranky
interesting. Like how I even got to SWAT because I was like people that knew me when I was young were like, that guy is not doing any of that. Like I grew up. My dad was a cop. My mom was a nurse. So I'd always had an interest in being a cop, and I was into athletics. Then I suffered some traumas, like when I was 11, 12 years old, kind of some like family dynamics things, not my immediate family, but like close enough that like really set me back.
Yeah.
And I went from like being athletic to being a chubby, depressed kid kind of thing. And you can't really be a good athlete when you're chubby and depressed kind of thing. So I go through high school and I do okay, but I'm mediocre at best in athletics. And I went on to college, and my first roommate was like, hey, you're a big kid, you played football. Let's go to the rugby party. I played rugby in high school. Maybe you want to play rugby. I'm like, I don't know. Sure, why not? I'll go to the rugby party. And I saw how rugby players in college partied in the late 90s and early 2000s. I'm like, I'm going to play rugby. And so then I started playing rugby, and I did very well. We played in Division II, we played in Division I. I've been to national champions. So I completely changed a lot of stuff that I went from like, I can't even start on a high school football team to now I'm playing Division I rugby.
The rugby probably helped you a lot in law enforcement.
Oh yeah,
you learn how to stuff people pretty friggin' good.
Yeah, just like I'm okay with contact. Of like, yes, please, let's be in contact. That's fine.
Have you seen that new rugby challenge? It's basically they just set up like a runway of turf, right? And one guy's on one end, the guy has the ball on the other end, and his goal is just to get to the other end.
Yeah.
The guy in the middle, his job is just to stop him, basically, like almost like with one hit.
Yeah.
And dudes are getting knocked out, like. Dude, the slams that you guys do, holy fuck.
Yeah, those slams actually don't happen all that often. When you have like an open field tackle, and you're like going into contact like that, it's set up to be sensationalized. Like those big tackles happen pretty frequently, but like usually you're trying to run away or try and get to a position to recycle the ball, so it's not the same. Yeah,
but I've seen a few like big old, husky motherfuckers sitting on one end, dude with the ball's running out, and he just like stands there and just shoulder checks him.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the big dude doesn't even move. He just wham, just throws his shoulder forward and just knocks this dude flat on his ass. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, after I got out of college, I went into the Oregon Police Corps. It was a program they had.
A scholarship, right?
Yeah. So it was like ROTC for the military, but for cops. So they paid for a certain amount of college, and you owed at least 4 years as a cop. That's what I'd done through college. And so I got out, went to the Police Corps Academy and got out, and then was hired by a sheriff's office in August of 2004. So I'm now coming up on 26 years. Cool. And yeah, in my time in the sheriff's office, I've been a senior DT instructor, defensive tactics, survival skills, field training. I was on the domestic violence team for a while. I was on SWAT for 5 years. And we also had kind of a patrol arm of the narcotics guys. Yeah. So we would assist them a lot on like street level missions and stuff like that. So I did that. And
you and Brian were just killing it on that little detail.
It'll be fun to get in here and tell the stories about that little like team, and then it went away, but we still like did the work and all the shit that we took behind the scenes about that.
God bless you, man. I'm not a dope guy.
I actually thought like dealing with dope was way easier because I got burned out on domestic violence like pretty bad.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that story at some point, but like one of my mentors, he works for a different agency than I work for. He ended up like working on a dope team and supervising it for a while, and he had also never been into dope, never really gave a shit about it. And he told me, he's like, this is going to sound bad to say, but it's like easy to do this because it is like business. They're almost like not people in the way of like their motivations aren't even human. Their motivations aren't like food, total water, shelter, sex. It's just straight dope, stealing, more dope. How do you? And so he goes, it's so easy to like depersonalize them and dehumanize them. And I was like, and it's way easier to do that and turn and burn and like be like, oh, okay, cool. You're not going to play for Team America. Go to jail, and we're going to move on to the next one. Versus like someone on like a serious domestic assault case where you have to like go back and keep re-interviewing them, checking in on them, taking them subpoenas to make sure they're going to go to court, doing like welfare checks to make sure the suspect's not violating the no contact release agreements.
Yep.
It weighs on you. So I liked working dope a lot better. And also like the dope angle got me into so many other things. I got into like fraud and guns and thefts and home invasions and stuff. So it was like, yeah, like dope was the way into that world kind of thing, but it wasn't just dope.
The thing is, I viewed it as dope was a secondary, is in like, I'll deal with the theft, and then I'll find the dope. I'll deal with the DUI, and then I'll get the dope. You know, like, I looked at it that way, versus find the dope to prevent those things. Like, I guess it didn't resonate with me, because to me, I just go, look, you want to put that shit in your system, you already know the consequences of it. That's not my problem, right? Go for it, right? Now, don't get me wrong, the dealers need to be dealt with to try to limit that, right? And the manufacturers need to be dealt with that. But the users, it's just a revolving door we're never going to slam shut.
Oh, yeah.
Because how many times have we taken a user to jail, and by the time they get out with the transit station right across from the jail, like, they've got their fix before they even get, 100 feet from the jail.
Yeah,
right.
And that's what I really appreciated with my career is when I started working dope and working with guys that do, like, narcotics trafficking of, like, we're not here for the users. We don't care about your dime bags. We actually want to see you get clean. But there's people that are making money off your misery. There's people that are killing people, especially when the fentanyl epidemic was like hot and heavy kind of thing. Like people are dying from this. We're not here for you. And so that was even more fun. So like I did the opposite. Find the dope. Now I've got you, and now I have your entire car. I find your guns. I find more dope, and then we are off to your dealer.
So now that you're making the transition into the mental health stuff, have you considered being like an addiction specialist? I mean, I look, cops got addictions too.
Yes.
Mainly caffeine, nicotine, and
anger,
right? But at the same time, alcohol is a huge problem in our job. Like,
I don't necessarily want to specialize in it. And I think that's part of like my bias of like what I have to check myself going into this field. I want to work with people that take accountability, that are high performers, and are really serious about making change.
Right.
And like if I was just to be a substance abuse counselor, and you end up taking a job like, let's say, with a community health clinic kind of thing, or through the courts, and you're dealing with people that don't want to be there, that don't want to make the change. Like I still genuinely want them to get help. I just don't think I'm the person to do that because of my own life experience in law enforcement. Like, I'm just burnt out of people that have all the excuses. Like, once you're ready to stop making excuses and start doing some work and can take some jokes and you can take some hard truths and really take a look at yourself, I'm the person for that.
So, once you get your license and then we really go independent, we're working in the same office, we got our own practice together, right? What's your thoughts on bringing in an addiction specialist? Albeit he's not a cop, but he's a phenomenal addiction specialist.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I think it's great because there's some people that are like going to need that specialized treatment or someone with that experience. And like, I want to get more informed about addiction things so I can help my clients if that's something that they're going through. But having somebody who specializes in addiction or whether or not they're like permanently attached to the office or like we have a referral business of like, like that is something to be good. Like if someone came to me and like, hey, I'm going through all these things, I might not be the person or might not be their primary person. Like, hey, we got to come at this for multiple levels. I might be able to help with some of the like acceptance commitment theory, cognitive behavioral therapy. Like we can do all that stuff here, but you have some specific to addiction sides that maybe can be addressed there. Cause like that's kind of what I do in my own personal journey. Like I have my guy for general like psychotherapy, and I have somebody else that's for trauma and EMDR.
Oh, okay. Didn't you say you were doing neurofeedback the other day?
Yeah, and I'm doing neurofeedback too.
How do you like it?
It makes me tired.
Yeah.
It like makes me go to sleep in the afternoons. I don't know. Like I just I've done it for almost 2 months, and so this was like our first check-in where there's like a little test kind of thing, and so I redid the test, and I'm kind of waiting for the results to see if I've made any changes.
Because it's something that I would like to get certified in because there's so many benefits to it. Like I've read a few books on it, and there's some really cool things you could do with it, especially for a sped brain like mine with ADHD.
Yeah.
You know, like it helps at least calm that, and I need to get back into it.
Yeah, like it was recommended to me by the gal who does like my EMDR as like something that would probably help me, especially with like nightmares and stuff like that I've been having some like problematic dreams. It's kind of hard to say how much it helps because I've been on this like kind of bipolar, chaotic roller coaster for about the last like 6 months, and you know what's been going on behind the scenes.
I've lived it with you.
Yeah, right. But it's like it's so hard to tell where I'm getting better and where I'm not because I've got so many other irons and fires right now with like my career and school and kids and finances and some stuff that might or might not come to fruition here in the next couple weeks to couple months, and what's that going to look for my life moving forward.
Right.
It's like I'm all over the place.
Right. And then like there's also like we're also going to be unique because we're like both therapists and then also coaches at the same time. You know, and I don't think anybody understands the difference between coaching and counseling. I mean, do you know the difference between the two?
I sure hope so. I'm halfway through a master's program.
Well, like, I see it like the coaching side, it gives us a little more reach because it's not state regulated.
Well, and you can be a little more direct at times.
Yeah, and then the counseling, like I can only serve people in the state of Oregon unless I go get a reciprocal license in another state. Yeah. But like if a cop hears this from like Virginia, like we could work with them as a coaching client. Mm-hmm. It's different than therapy, but it's look, they look and feel the same, but it's on our end how we're doing it, how we're directing it.
Yeah, and well, I was having this conversation with my therapist the other day, like how do you know when to like be a little more coaching oriented kind of thing, and that's where we got into this conversation of like the world needs more male counselors and more male counselors who are hard and direct and like and are going to really challenge people versus be overly empathetic and we'll let someone sit in their office once a week for 3 months and keep rehashing the same story, right? Without like having an intervention like, hey, when are we going to make a plan to do something? Right. There's only so much bitching and whining you can do. And I don't want to sound crass with saying like bitching and whining because there is a part of therapy like certain things you have to go back, you have to process, you have to understand. Yeah. So it is not bitching and whining unless it becomes constant for long periods of time. Right.
So for those listening, like basically the therapy counseling is from the day you're born to the day you end up on the couch, and then coaching goes from the day you end up on the couch to the future. So there's a deviation there, right? Although the only way I can understand how to make your future productive is I'm going to have to understand your past. So it feels very similar to most people. They don't understand the difference, but there is a difference because it's based on like counseling. Again, we're analyzing the past, period, and then you've got to figure out how to move forward from there. Whereas the coaching is like, all right, we're going to understand the past. We're not going to analyze it as deep, but then it's like, okay, based on what we know, here's how to then mitigate those behaviors or whatever.
You're coming up with a specific plan.
Right, to moving forward. And so which do you think is more rewarding for you? Or like if you're because you're going to be in the hot seat as the therapist, which one do you think you're going to gravitate towards more and more? I know that I gravitate more towards coaching.
I don't know. I'm probably pretty middle of the road because you've got to understand yourself before we can move forward. And I think there's a lot of people that once they start understanding themselves will come up with their own goals, and then you can just ask them like, okay, what are some things that you can do? And then you almost don't have to coach because they become coaches for themselves, which is kind of what you want in a counseling relationship. Right. But then there's some people that maybe need a little kick in the ass sometimes to kind of check them. Like I ran into a first responder guy that I know, and he explained that he'd been having a bunch of problems and decided he needed to make a big change and decided to go and get help and see a therapist. So he found himself a first responder counselor and then sat down and said, this is everything that's been happening in the last year. And he described some personal choices that he had made that were kind of impacting his life. And he said the counselor just and just kind of like looked at him through their fingers and goes, you got to be fucking kidding me. And probably not very client-centered, not very counselor-like, but he goes, that was the first time that I ever considered that I am the problem or something that I'm doing is a problem. And like, oh, so there is a value to being blunt and almost like
it's like,
maybe means not the right word, but like direct,
blunt. Like I think a lot of people struggle with the understanding that life doesn't happen to you, you happen to life, right? And since we cling to that, there's this existential angst that comes from understanding that, oh, I'm the fucking problem. I'm the issue here.
The common issue in all my relationships is me. Weird.
It's weird. Like I had a client and he's telling me the patterns of all of his intimate relationships, and and then finds a way to go, I keep finding all of these types of women, and I'm like, who's the common denominator in all of these relationships? That would be you, motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
And like, could it possibly be that your anxious attachment or whatever is driving them away, or your behavior is what's driving them away? And I remember he's sitting there, and then he's like, oh fuck, I am the fucking problem. I'm like, yeah, welcome to therapy.
Yeah.
He was a fun client. That dude made a U-turn, like he yanked the e-brake and cranked it around real hard. Like I was real proud of him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he did a really good job. Like he came in, I was an emergency. I got called by the boss at my internship site. So he goes, hey, I know you're not seeing anybody today. Will you please come in and do this emergency intake? I don't think I could put him with any of the other interns. I think you're the best one for him. I was like, okay. So I go in there, and I see him, and dude's pacing in the room the whole time, like a caged lion. He's just pacing and just off gassing the whole time. And he did some stupid shit. Don't get me wrong, he did some real stupid shit.
Right.
And I think it was probably like maybe a dozen or so sessions in, he had his first little light bulb moment. And then all of a sudden, it's like he just, like I said, yanked the e-brake, popped a U-ball, dropped it, and threw it in gear. And he made recovery real quick and real simple. Like it was, I felt spoiled with that client.
Oh, really?
Because it's like, it didn't take much.
Yeah.
And it took just like, the world's not what you seem to think it is. And the other side of that was breaking his narrative of his victimhood. And as soon as he broke that narrative, man, he did great.
It's amazing when you start looking at like the stories that people tell themselves about an event and how that influences their meaning of that event and how they internalize it. Like once you can kind of change your perspective on anything, whether it's something traumatic or just like change your perspective on like how you view life or politics kind of thing, that you're like, oh, there's a lot of freedom here. You're not stuck here, but people get stuck because of like their narratives.
So now, as a cop, in what 13 years that I did it, I can count essentially on one hand the number of cases that I worked where their life. I learned later that our interaction with me as the cop and them as whatever, they ultimately ended up changing their life for the better, right? So I can count on one hand out of 13 years and hundreds of thousands of contacts and arrests and whatnot that these 5-6 people improve their life as a result of our contact. Now, obviously, there's probably more.
Yeah.
I haven't learned about them yet, right? But let's just go with just this handful, right? Out of 22 years, how many do you think or how many do you know of have made this significant change as a result of the contact that you had with them? Meaning, two. Very
specific people, and I know their stories like very well.
Okay.
2.
So, how do you think it's? I'll tell you right now, like it is. Being a counselor is awesome in this regard because you actually get to see the fruits of your labor versus like in law enforcement. Again, 22 years, you only have 2 that you know of.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that there's not more out there, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean all of them. It just means there's more out there, right? Whereas the majority of the clients that I've worked, I've seen this huge improvement in them in some way, shape, or form, or they've reported a huge improvement in them in some way, shape, or form. So it's nice to finally get to see the fruits of your labor and know that what you're doing is actually good.
Oh, yeah. And, it's not to say that my work in law enforcement was bad.
No, I'm not trying to say that.
No. But it's like, I have one tool. I can arrest you for your crimes.
Right.
And so the two stories that I know about were related heavily to dope. And these two women have completely changed their lives and gone on to big things that are doing quite well. And they thank me and some other people that we work with too. But like, if you hadn't arrested me all those times and put me in that position, I would have probably stood down here or dead. Yeah. Okay, I only used one tool. The only tool that I have as a police officer, I can arrest you, kind of thing. Yeah, I can like say, hey, why don't you consider treatment? But I can't even like make a referral. I can't help him get a bed, kind of thing.
Right.
So now as a counselor, like, I feel like I'm getting armed with more and more tools for like therapeutic interventions and stuff like that, and setting up for like long-term work. I mean, the two gals I'm thinking of, like, yeah, we dealt with them for probably the course of like a year or 2 years regularly, and by regular it might be once a week or once a month, and it was just kind of up and down depending on where they were in their addiction cycle at the time. And then, but that's not the same as working with the same person week after week for a year.
Right. Yeah. I know one dope case that actually changed her life after I cracked her sternum twice. For the first time, overdosed in a car up by Tannisbourne. She's in the passenger seat, but still tied off, thing sticking out of her arm. And the thing about heroin, like, they always lie. It's like, hey, what's this needle for? Oh, it's my insulin. It's brown. You know, it's like, oh, it's a new type. You know, like they always come up with some weird excuse. And then a couple of years later, went to another overdose, and I get there, I'm like, damn, this girl looks familiar as I'm doing CPR. And then fire shows up, they pump her full of Narcan. Up she comes, and by that time I'm going through her purse, and I find her kit and all this other stuff. I'm like, hey, you know, and I'd said her name, and man, she was pissed. Because, I mean, you give someone Narcan, they're pissed, you just ruined their high, you know. But after that one, I heard that was her last arrest cycle, and then I heard recently that she's actually went and got a degree in addictions counseling.
Oh, nice.
And she's running some addictions group downtown. And I haven't talked to her yet.
Yeah.
I want to at some point, you know, just kind of see how things are going. But then in 21, a female deputy that I never worked with, she got hired way after I retired. She hit me up on Facebook Messenger, and she goes, hey, I know you don't know me, but I've heard about you at the agency. I'm like, well, whatever you heard is a fucking lie. Right?
No, it's the truth.
Don't believe a fucking thing, right? I've had a couple of situations like that.
Yeah.
But then she's like, well, I went to this neighborhood beef, and the RP said he knew you, and he wanted to know if you were working. And I said, no, he doesn't work for this agency anymore, but I know of him. And he said, because of how I treated him on that DUI, he decided to get sober, and he's been sober for 15 years ever since. And so, like, that's cool. I love hearing those stories, and I like knowing that. But at the same time, like, those cases are so far and few between, it's easy to get cynical and nihilistic, right? Versus, like, in here, it's constant improvement, and it's nice to see your clients actually grow and change. And
I really believe that the work that we did out on the streets has a lot more benefit than we know of. Yeah. It's just like, we might see that person one time and never run into them again.
Right.
And so we never hear anything about their journey or anything.
Which is sad. I mean, I wish we could, you know, follow up a little more, but obviously there's so many constraints and time and more calls coming in now.
Oh, and just more calls and more contacts. I mean, there's like no way that you could be like, hey, it's now I'm year 20, and like I think about the guy, my very first arrest. We arrested him for stealing mail, and we got into a little fight with him. Like, hey, do I check on him every year? Hey, how are you doing? I'm just doing my yearly checking on you. That was like 10,000 stops ago, like thousands of arrests ago. Like, there's no way that you could possibly keep up on that client load.
Right, but what amazes me though is those people always remember who the fuck you are. You may not remember them at all. Like, you could pass them on the street, you won't even remember, because you talk to so many people in one shift. You like, it's hard to remember everybody. But then, like, years later, that person still remembers your name, still remembers that contact, and they attribute their success in life to that contact. It's nice.
It's also kind of weird. Like, they're like, I remember you. I'm like, oh no, have we talked before? Yes.
For what?
Yeah, well, did I arrest you? No. Okay. Did I give you a ticket? because you had to be doing something really dumb for me to get a ticket. I don't get tickets. Like, oh no. Or sometimes, yeah, you gave me a ticket. And I'm like, I promise I'm not a bad guy. Like, oh no, I deserve that ticket kind of thing. But,
yeah. I had that one guy walk into the gym like that. I had hooked him for a warrant, and he came in, didn't recognize me at first, and I was kind of selling him on the gym, and then I remember who he was, and I was like, hey man, do you remember who I am? He's like, yeah. I was like, is this going to be a problem? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, best of luck, and off you went. But,
yeah, you've told me about that story before, and I know that guy's last name, and I'm like, with a name like that, you're down to be like...
You'll never forget a name like that.
Oh, no, never.
Like the other guy in the jail that Eamon was calling out for mail.
Oh, I think we could probably say that guy's name. He's probably dead.
Yeah, Buttram.
Buttram.
Yeah, that's his name. Buttram.
Yeah.
And so,
it's not Boutron.
Yeah,
it's not French, but it's Buttram.
Yeah, everybody's like, is it Boutram? He's like, it's Buttram. You know, like he says it with such pride. You know, like God bless him. But,
I mean, that takes some serious balls to like own that and not change your name.
He was that's kind of like a boy named Sue. Like
you
grow up mean or you grow up dead, right? Like he grew up mean, you know, and he was a mean son of a bitch.
Oh, angry, super angry. Yeah.
Well, if you had a name Buttram, wouldn't you?
I'd change my name.
Well, I mean, we had that one coworker with the last name Butts, and he changed it.
Yeah, he did.
Hope you're doing well, buddy.
Yeah. Actually, after he left our agency and went to another agency, I've heard a lot of really good things about him, and he's had a long career. He found a better place, a better fit for him, and done well.
Either way, like even when he was at our agency, I always got along with him.
I did too.
He was a great guy. I had no problems with him. I understand he had a bit of a reputation, but reputations are one of those like, it's perspective. It doesn't really mean much, like in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, so I guess the next part is like, so why change from law enforcement to this? Like I know my reason because obviously I went through this whole existential crisis and I finally got some help and I had a really good therapist that was a great inspiration for me. What's yours?
I first had the idea back in like 2018. I was like thinking about getting out of law enforcement because I was just kind of burnt out. Not kind of burnt out. I was really burnt out, and I'm like, okay, like what is a way that I could still continue to help the community, help that mission kind of thing. I had been seeing a counselor for a couple of years. I'm like, maybe I could do something like that, and I started looking into that as a possibility. At the time, I couldn't find a program that was had enough online options that I could make it through at the time because I was single on SWAT kind of thing. And so I'm like, well, that's not going to be an option right now. So I went to grad school and got a master's in business instead. And then the pandemic hit and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to switch jobs right now. And I just keep going further into my law enforcement career. I'm like, I'm learning more and more about myself in all these programs. I'm like, yeah, I've probably way overdid my own limit kind of thing, and I've stuffed it down plenty of times and tried and forced myself back. When times I'm like, I've been on the ground crying saying, I don't think I can be a cop anymore, and still forced myself back for all kinds of reasons.
That's a horrible phase to be in, man.
Dude, it's like
it's excruciating.
Worst. And then like when you ask for help sometimes, like there's not a lot of help available.
Right.
Like I mean, I've been like I skipped a large chunk of the command in my what do they call it, the rank structure kind of thing. So I've skipped ranks to go to people like, hey, I'm in danger of being a statistic and burning out kind of thing.
Right.
I've never been suicidal or anything, and while I think they do care and they do want best for their employees, there's still a business, there's a bureaucracy, and there's rules and regulations and stuff like that. So it really becomes like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't give that to you because there's rules and regulations. And like one of the things I need, like, I just need a break. Can you send me to training? Can I just go teach classes for a month and just kind of like get a couple good weeks of sleep kind of thing? And the answer is like, we can't just wave our hand and make a position for you or give you a special assignment, because then anybody that comes through and says, I need that same treatment, they can't. So I'm like, okay, I get it. It sucks for me. I understand it on the business and the rules and regulation side. It still sucks for me. So like I had to find other ways to deal with myself. And so like when I going into the counseling field, like how can I help other people find their own path and their own ways, because there's not a lot of resources within the agency.
Oh God, no. Like we do a lot of mental health training, but it's always like how to respond to mental health issues. I think we could be pretty good voices, and I would love for us to go essentially like on a speaking tour, go to a bunch of different agencies, and talk about understanding ourselves. Like we need to do the mental health stuff for us first, and we could probably empathize a lot more with what we're responding to. Like looking back at it now, knowing what I know now, if I ever went back to the job, I would be a totally different cop than I was back then. And the way I would treat people is going to be way different. I'm not going to say I was a dick to everybody. I wasn't, but you know, I also was pretty calloused and pretty cold, right, and pretty black and white. Whereas now I see in the shades of gray, and I go, okay, I can understand how you got here. That doesn't mean you're going to get off the hook. It doesn't mean I'm not going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
But you know, I can understand how you got here. There is a path away from this. Like you've got to do some serious work. Here's a number for a good therapist, or here's a number for a good group to go to, like something like that. I think I would handle things a lot differently that way. But the biggest thing is like, if I understood me better, I wouldn't have destroyed my marriage. I wouldn't have, I probably would still be on the road had I understood the whys behind everything. Who knows? I don't know, because again, screwing with chaos theory. But
yeah,
I think one of the things that we have the ability to do, especially with our education that we have now, plus our experiences, we have the ability to go to those agencies and go, hey, look, we get it. We've both been on the wrong end of our own pistol before. We've both been, in the position where everything is falling apart. You can't save the marriage. You can't, the kids don't want to talk to you, nothing. Like, we've both been in that thing. Let us help you prevent that from happening. And me as a marriage family therapist, this is where it's like, hey, just so you know, your marriage is going to impact your performance at work. The same way your work is going to impact your performance as a husband or as a father or a wife and a mother, right? Yeah. So let's figure out how to make these work in harmony with one another versus constantly being in conflict with one another. That's something that I definitely want to do together.
Yeah. Well, I think it actually starts even before marriage. It actually starts like when you're an infant in your attachment styles. And so I'm in a course right now about it's research methods and stuff. So I was worried it's going to be statistics, but I'm actually starting to dig into doing a research paper on attachment styles and how does that affect not just your job as a police officer, but how about your relationships with your peers, your supervisors, your leaders.
I wrote a similar paper on that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and so I can guide you to my resources on that.
That's about to be written by just Matt, right?
Rewritten, yeah. Careful, Turnitin has already saved it. So there's actually, so for those that don't know, psychology is broken up into a bunch of different subcategories. Like you have social psychology, developmental psychology, industrial, organizational, performance, relational. There's so many different subgroups of psychology. But in the industrial organizational side, they are looking more at the psychology of the workplace and productivity at work and stuff like that. They learn how to do assessments for employment and assessments during employment, stuff like this. Anyways, there's a couple really good studies on attachment and work performance and relationships within the work. And so basically, if you just put in attachment and work, academic journal into Google, you'll get those articles.
Yeah. Right.
It's not hard to find them. But yeah, it's your attachment and everything that leads up to that does influence your work performance.
Yeah. So understanding your own and how that impacts your relationships at work, but also as a field trainer, if I have a good idea of what my recruit's attachment style is then maybe I don't take things so personally, or I find better ways to reach them. If you have an avoidant and you're trying to explain things and they shut down, what's the first thing that FTOs usually jump to when they shut down and they stop talking? You're being a dick, bro. Yeah. You need to learn some humility. I know everything, you know nothing. You
Suck need to fuck up.
Yeah, right? And it really might not be that. It might just be, okay, they have a tendency to be an avoidant. They are shutting down. And if you see them shutting down, if you have an understanding, okay, I see they're going offline now. Cool. I can bring them back. It is still something certain people are going to go offline way too quick and can't do the job. Or they're going to go offline and not be able to bring themselves back. But if you see it okay, I can cue on that. I can bring you back, and we're going to work on this, avoid your shutdowns, and add that to the training. The same thing with like, if you have an anxious type, what do we say about the anxious type?
They're constantly trying to people please. They're constantly trying to, win over their
and
coach.
we make fun of them kind of thing, and we're
kiss
like,
ass.
yeah, right. And how about we just go, okay, they're a little bit anxious. How can we have a good relationship with them and create an environment where like they can thrive? Because we generally want people to stay.
They're
in
the
the
ones
job.
who have to see their own self-worth.
Yes.
Because they don't see the value in themselves. So that's why they constantly externalize it. Versus the avoidance, they already see their self-worth. They just keep everybody in arm's distance because, God forbid, you get too close.
So if you have someone that's the kiss ass and run around doing all those stuff, like, how do you find a way to be like, no, we're not going to do that kind of thing? How do you have that relationship? And, I mean, it wasn't necessarily because I thought anyone was, like, avoidant or anxious, but I remember when I was on SWAT and, like, the new guys would have to do certain things when we're at training kind of thing that like serve the whole team, and they have to like stay busy kind of thing. And some of these like guys that were younger than me, I'd known for quite a long time, and I pulled them aside. I'm like, hey, when it comes to me, you guys do not serve me. Like you guys go do all the other stuff that other team guys want you to do. When it comes to me, I only want you to come to me for two things. Questions on how to get things done, funny stories that I learned along the way.
Right.
I don't need you guys doing the new guy shit around me. I want a different relationship with you.
Right.
And so being able to help those people and actually like I had a conversation with one of those guys kind of recently, and he kind of brought that up, like you were a very different. See, I wasn't even like the new guy handler. He was like, you were just a more senior guy that really helped out and was really beneficial when. Not all the senior guys are like that. A lot of them are like, you're a fucking kiss ass, or oh, you have a bad attitude because you kind of shut down.
Right. I think that would actually be kind of a fun project for us to do. Is like figure out how to create like a 1-day training program that we essentially sell to agencies as part of their FTO school. So as you're becoming an FTO and as you're going through the FTO training process, we go in and we go, hey, look, let's understand the psychology of these kids that are coming in. Right. Here's attachments. Right, and here's how attachments show up in the way that which they're training. Here's how you respond to that. But the other side of that is, even as a therapist, when we're working with an avoidant or an anxious or a disorganized attachment, the goal is to work them toward secure attachment. So what if we were able to teach the FTOs essentially a series of little tricks to help their recruit get into more of that secure attachment, at least in the workspace, right? And obviously that then ripples outward, right? And hopefully it improves the rest of their life. But then again, it could be perpetuating another problem. So that's something I guess we should research and look at, because I think that would be beneficial for the training process and the FTOs, as if they don't already have enough shit to worry about. But it might also help them get more successful recruits.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I'd love for you to get your doctorate and then find us a bunch of money to research and develop a whole thing and make it sciencey and stuff.
I know we could do that same thing as master's level.
But doesn't it sound better if you are a doctor?
It does sound a lot better when I'm a doctor.
Well,
Dr.
Chris.
Well, you should probably freaking think about doing the ED and sport and performance thing.
We could be doctors together.
The best part is like we get to start the podcast, doctor, you know. Which is a really old reference, and I hope like somebody at least listening to this gets it. But
is that Airplane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Airplane. Yeah. Well, the Three Stooges actually started it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Three Stooges did it first, and then Airplane is what made it like notable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think there's a lot of benefit to teaching your FTOs like how to train kind of thing. It's like everything else is like you go to your basic FTO school, maybe it's 40 hours, maybe it's 80 hours, and now you're an FTO, and when is the next time you will actually go to ongoing FTO training or actually significant training? The next time will probably when you switch from your systems to like a whole new tracking system. You have to spend a whole day learning how to use the new system. And then after that, you're like, okay, yeah, you guys know how to be FTOs. So you're stuck with your prior experience. So like the guys that like taught me, they were taught by guys in the 80s and 90s. Very different time in law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
A very different training methodology kind of thing. It was like, fucking just do the job and shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Right? So now we're getting a lot better, but we're still like decades behind other places. And we're not investing training in ourselves, or the agencies aren't investing in the people. But if we could develop that training program that like talks about certain kinds of psychology, attachment, and like, I mean, we share information on all these recruits, like between the coaches, here's where they're struggling, here's where they're not.
Yep.
I don't know why we don't have like a whole like backstory, kind of like a dossier, is that a fancy word for like everything that they've ever done? Like, this is what, like, psychologically that they're like. Maybe there's some traits from their psych profiles that they can share that aren't.
Well, I mean, even if we don't get to see those shiny tablets, I think so. One thing that we had to do during internship, and it's still available to us as associate therapists, is that it's group supervision. So it's basically a whole group of counselors go in. There's like one or two supervisors in there, and everybody kind of shares their case, and everybody kind of gets to bounce it off each other and kind of give each other tips and tricks to maybe consider, or maybe like you're going in the complete wrong direction altogether. Everybody's like, no, you need to go this way, right? Stuff like this. So you get peer feedback, right?
Yeah.
Other than just your supervisor. If the FTO program had essentially a group supervision format where, you know, every month we have a 1 day, you know, like, or a half day training where all the FTOs come in. It's like, all right, talk about your recruits, what's going on. And then all the other FTOs get to go, I know that one, maybe try this. Or I've had that similar problem with a different recruit, maybe try this, right? And so then you're bouncing ideas off each other constantly and constantly improving as FTOs.
Yeah. And you'll find, like, guys that will form those relationships outside the formal structure of the FTO program, because getting enough people together to have that with everyone's other collateral duty assignments and stuff is like a scheduling nightmare.
Right.
So it gets really hard to do that. I mean, I pitched the idea to have an actual like mentorship program for post field training, because what happens once they kick loose on their own? Who supervises them? Whoever their direct sergeant is. How often do they check in with them? Depends on your agency and when they're required to do evaluations, monthly, weekly, and like, but nobody else sits down with them. How come we don't have a formal mentorship program where, like, hey, you as the senior FTO, your job for the next like 6 weeks is to go and check in with that kid once a week. And it is not an evaluation. It is a, hey, how are you fitting in? What questions do you have? Tell me about a call you went on and something you learned. Actually be a mentor and build them up, and also that kind of builds more of a secure attachment kind of thing. It builds a good relationship, and then teaches them how to build better relationships in other coworkers in command as well.
Yeah. Dude, I think we've got a lot on our plate that we have the ability to really help make some changes within the profession. But I think the other side is, like, I don't really want to focus on the agencies as much. I want to really just help the individuals.
Yeah.
And obviously from the marriage family therapy side, this job is temporary. And you made a vow that relationship is going to go till death, right? And obviously divorce is always an option, right? I get it. But I would like to get us to a point where it's like, okay, let's try not to destroy every fucking marriage. So you're on your third or fourth before your retirement, right? Let's try to get to a point where you understand yourself better. You can preserve your relationship. So that way, after retirement, you're not driving your spouse absolutely batshit crazy, and that you can actually perform better at work. Because when the home life will always impact the professional life. The professional life is always going to impact the home life, and helping them strike that balance between the two.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, my passion is helping the individuals, because I'm kind of biased toward the government right now and its bureaucracy and stuff. So I'm kind of in this place of let's work with the individuals. Let's do everything we can to cut them a break and cut them a discount. But if we're going to work for the agencies, fuck you guys, you pay double.
Right. I like that.
You know you got the money.
Man, fair. Well, depends on the agency.
Well,
some tiny little middle of nowhere agency.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, we can cut those guys a break.
Yeah, I would definitely like to work with some of the smaller agencies, because they don't get anything. Like, when I was contracting for a small, tiny agency out in Washington. And when I say tiny agency, I'm talking like a chief and 4 officers.
Ooh.
Yeah, in a town of like 3,000 or 4,000, right? But those guys, they didn't get any training, so I'd have to drive all the way out here to central Washington to go help them do their defensive tactics training every year. And man, it was a slog, because they're just like, they had no training other than the academy, and so I had to like start at like day one with all of them.
Yeah.
And I'd be out there like
I wonder if we could get grants for something like that.
Okay.
Like, we'll apply for a grant and be like, hey, we want to go teach a rural agency XYZ, and here's like the course material, and this is what it's going to cost, and then have some government agency or nonprofit be like, yeah, we'll pay for that.
I think we could probably whittle it with a nonprofit.
Mm.
Because it's like those rural communities love their police and they want better policing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they're all pro-police out there.
Yeah.
It's only the major cities that hate them, right?
Yeah.
But I think we've got a lot of really good things coming, and I think both of our experiences, our life experiences, all the things that we had to go through personally, professionally, stuff like that, and now that we're making this transition, especially at this stage of life, I think we have a really good opportunity to reach some of these guys and help them save their careers, save their families, and not just upend everything and end up in the same existential crisis that you and I've ended up in a couple times. Because that's a fucking painful spot to be in. And
absolutely.
I wouldn't wish that pain on my worst enemy.
And adding to that list of positives he had, it's just like they're better cops on the road. They're more empathetic. They have a better ability to engage with people. Fewer uses of force. They're better emotionally controlled, so you're not going to be as reactive, which confident. Is going to save your ass. More confident, more humility, kind of thing.
Clear communication.
Yes, there's a lot of benefit across the board, not just personally, but also for just society at large.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's always an outward ripple effect to everything,
yeah.
Right? But again, that's all it comes down to. Also, through this platform, providing some of that education to understand the why behind policing. Why are cops doing what they do? What is the justification for it? How are they getting away, in air quotes, with what they get away with? Well, probably because it's actually justified. You may not like it because it doesn't look nice, but
we'll have to go down that rabbit hole of like what force looks like sometime, because that is really getting you frustrated, especially right now.
Make a note and let's make it for the next episode.
Okay. We're also gonna have some funny stuff too.
Oh yeah, I think for the use of force one, I think that would be a fun one to have Carlin and Kelly join us.
Like together at the same time, so they can have a use of force incident on each other.
Yeah, and then we can counsel it. But
we can coach it. We can't counsel it because that would be unethical. We know too much about them.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But at the same time, like, they're geniuses when it comes down to the use of force stuff, and brilliant minds when it comes down to understanding the case law and the purpose and stuff like that. Like,
and they've been trainers for so long that they're like they understand people.
I've been to a lot of use of force training, and of all the instructors, Carlin and Kelly come out on top 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
like they're phenomenal. But I think they would be a fun guest to have on.
Yeah.
So
we'll also get my stepbrother on here too.
Which one?
Which one?
Which one?
The main one.
B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's my other stepbrother?
Gerb.
Oh, different kind of stepbrother though. He's adopted.
Sorry, Gerbs. I think incorporating B. Raj in this would be hilarious.
Well, we've already talked about this. That we're like, well, one at work we were known as the stepbrothers for a while.
Oh, yeah.
We even had like, I think he was a lieutenant. He goes, and then the stepbrothers show up, and he points at both of us. We're like, what? Okay.
Please tell me someone superimposed your guys' faces on the actual stepbrothers thing and put it up on the board.
No, nobody did that. But I mean, we had some pretty funny jokes, and so we want to actually have like little mini episodes of like Stepbrothers Fun Hour where we like go and just like we're gonna talk about the old days and about the time that I kicked his ass and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah,
but I think it's important for people to know who the fuck we are, so that they're not like, who are these two idiots just talking into the internet?
No, definitely two idiots talking to the internet, but we know things.
Allegedly.
What? I don't know why you keep saying allegedly. We know things.
I know we know things.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's like...
Other people know other things.
Yeah, we're trying to catch up now. Like, that's the thing, it's like the amount of knowledge out there, but then there's so many like conflictual like studies and so many conflictual things. It's like, that's why, I think that's why I say allegedly. It's like we have our opinion.
Yeah.
And we have our perspective based off the knowledge that we have. Great. And the experience that we have. Does that mean that that's the only way? No.
Yeah.
Is there another way? Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on the person.
Well, and that's what I really like about moving into the counseling field is there's so many ways to do it, so many different modalities and theories, that it is really more of an art form than it is a science. And like, so I read on other people's theories to the point that I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a sex cult. Like, I don't understand what you just said. I'm pretty sure that this is like you're starting a sex cult. This is like weirder than Scientology. And then other people like that talk about like somatic and energy and movement within the body. I'm like, okay, that at least makes sense to me. But other people find
yeah. The first example sounds more like a union party.
A historical union party. They got cleaner.
So somebody on Facebook, it was like one of the cop forums.
Oh yeah.
He put up this advertisement about a first responder only cruise. Oh. And so the first thing I comment, I was like, so basically a
union party
a first responder swingers party. And he texted me later. He like personally, he's like, that's super inappropriate. That's super offensive. I'm like, you know damn well it's funny because it's true. Mm-hmm. You put a bunch of first responders on a cruise like that with booze and a bunch of other stuff, that's exactly what it's going to turn into. He's like, yeah, but that's not the purpose. And I was like, fine, I'll take it down, right, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then someone else who knows me chimed in and was like, yeah, he's kind of the king of unpopular opinions, but he's not wrong. You know?
That'd be an interesting topic to dive into sometime about, like, why is it when first responders, cops, military cut loose, they have to act like they're 19 and it's their second kegger ever.
Because you've been restricted for so long and you've been expected to act perfect for so long on and off duty. Because there's no bad days in this job. You're not allowed to have a bad day.
I never thought about it like that. There's a guy that I know that, I haven't talked to him in a while, but I keep hearing stories like, oh, he's like...
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. And he is going buck wild right now.
But also, like, when I talked to him one time, he's like, hey, since I was like 17, 18 years old, I've either been in the military or cop.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, this makes sense. So maybe it's not as bad as people make it out, because also people like exaggerate all the rumors.
Nah, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's doing some stuff, but I mean, I love him to death, and yeah. I think that there's a path to recovery for him. He just has to want that, right? Mm-hmm. But I think because in the military and in law enforcement, that you can't have a bad day. You can't act out off duty because it reflects bad on the agency and you'll get fired. You can't act out on duty because it reflects bad on the agency, you can get fired. So you're constantly living up to someone else's expectations 24/7, 365 for the length of time that you're in that career. And then as soon as you no longer have that hanging over your head, it's like the kid that moves out of his house, goes across the country, goes to freshman year of college, just
goes ham,
keggers and keg stands and just, goes crazy. Yeah, I think that's really what it is. It just looks worse because now you're in your 40s and 50s and you're acting like a freaking teenager. And everybody's like, what's wrong with that idiot? You're right. But no, it makes sense because it's just the pressure release valve finally getting hit. Mm. They're like, I don't have to live up to these standards anymore, and now I get to go do whatever the hell I want without some sort of condemnation for it.
Maybe this is one of my problems. I keep saying, I'm in college. And like, why are you doing that? I'm in college. Like, it's okay. Like only people who are 18, 19, 20 go to college. Here I am at 46.
We're in grad school.
It's college.
Yeah, but I mean, if you put it in grad school, everybody sounds.
Well, actually, me and my rugby buddies always had this plan that, like, whoever's going to hit it big, that we're all going to come back to college at 40 and live in the freshman dorm, kind of thing, or go for like master's degrees, kind of thing. But then also, no one thought that online school would be a thing either.
Yeah, thanks COVID. Mm-hmm. So, like, online school, don't get me wrong, I like it for the ease of it, but at the same time I don't, because you don't have any interface with any of the other students, you don't have any interface with the professor, other than maybe an occasional Zoom class or something like that. Yeah. So it's really the most self-guided degree program. Like, they say, hey, read these books, read these chapters, and regurgitate what's in it. And it's like, okay, sometimes I don't really feel like we're really learning. Sometimes I feel like we're just we're getting the information and then we're expected to kind of figure it out along the way. Whereas in a traditional sense, like if we're going to class for clinical psychology, we got another experienced therapist talking to us and kind of giving us their experiences and what to look out for and how they failed and how they recovered from it and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, I'm actually liking learning this way of like, okay, I'm going to learn my stuff, and now I need to go find a mentor. I need to go find people that have been in the business for a long time. Take those folks out to lunch and start learning the art from them and stuff like that. I mean, you read like those old psychology books of like, oh, and then he left Austria to go and study under this guy. And I'm like, do people still do that?
Dude, I honestly wish we would go back to that style.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we'll just say for the sake of this argument, I'm already established, psychologist and doctor, right? You come and you basically mentor under me until I basically go, yeah, you are qualified. You are you've met the standard. It's almost like an FTO relationship where it's like I'm guiding
Well, it's
you
kind of
to
like clinical supervision in a way.
yeah, and then it's like I'm guiding you to this expertise, and then you produce this dissertation, and then myself and like a couple other psychologists basically go over this research that you did. We question you about it, and we're like, yeah, you finally have made it. You understand the ins and outs of all of this, and then you're given that doctorate. I mean, that was Freudian level.
Yeah.
The early 1900s.
So we should bring back the old ways. Like, where should we go to study under somebody?
I genuinely think that the old ways sometimes are better.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, all of them, they just learn from each other, and then they continue to expand their knowledge beyond that tutelage, and became.
All right, but would you pick up on my joke and my funniness a little bit?
Yeah,
here?
I'm trying.
I know it's.
Sorry, my autism is kicking in.
What awesome place are we going to go to, and who are we going to study under? Let's just start with where we should go.
In all honesty, if it was feasible, because it's not feasible right now because of his medical condition, I would say we go to Florida and we study under Jordan Peterson. Because that is a mind that I want to understand, and that is a level of experience and depth of knowledge that is. I mean, don't get me wrong, he speaks so abstractly, and it's hard to track him sometimes because he makes this huge loop and finally comes back to it.
Yeah.
But the depth of knowledge that guy's got is crazy. And as a marriage family therapist, I would want to study under Adam Lane Smith. Okay. He's a master's level clinician, but like he's a brilliant mind. And if not him at the doctorate level, Esther Perel.
Okay. I wonder if these folks like do like weekend or week-long classes.
Well, they do seminars all the time, but Jordan Peterson's got his medical issues where he can't do anything right now. He's, he's kind of crippled up.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, I would love to
make
go
a
that
list
way.
of like exotic places to go and learn things for a week.
I would love to go to other countries and essentially like study how their mindsets work and what's working for them, what's not, right? Because there's other countries that like, yeah, they're poorer than us, but they're so much happier, right? And it's like, okay, where's this really coming from, and why are the people in the West so fucking miserable all the time?
Yeah,
right?
I just experienced some of that. The kids and I went to Europe for spring break, and in Spain, siesta time, it's like 2 to 5.
Right.
Everything's just kind of closed.
Yep.
There's some things that stay open, like the bigger things, but all the mom and pop stores, like, no, we're busy. We got errands to go. We're going to go work out. We're going to go ride our bikes. We're just going to go and have cocktails and sit for like 2 hours.
Yep.
And I'm like,
well, even in Thailand, like people work 6-7 days a week, but they're happy. Yeah, like, and they're living in these tiny little tin huts. And but like you talk to them, they're joking around, they're laughing. They're happy. I mean, they're poor as shit, but it's like, okay, so there's something to this. Like it's not about the things that we got. Like, where are you finding this joy? Where are you finding this happiness? Where are you finding this peace? And another one I would love to do is go test a whole series of monks. Go to a monastery, test them on
find what test you want to give them.
the depression and anxiety test.
Oh, okay.
Right, so
Oh, you were saying
the
SDD
PSQ-9 or the GAD-7, right? Run those tests on the monks, right, and see what the overall depression, anxiety levels are, and then go, okay, is this the result of your practices, or what is this, right? You could also test that same community that's around that monastery, right? Like, okay, the monastery they're showing super low, but then the general public is showing super high. Well, what is it that where's the deviation between that? So maybe you have novice practitioners that are somewhere in the middle. You have your general public, you have your novices, and then you have your monks, right? You test all three groups. Well, the novices, they're lower than the general public, but still higher than the monks, right? So like a comparative analysis like that. And I think, but doing that in different cultures all over the freaking place, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Well, you see people have different desires and different motivations. And so if you have some like, this is what I desire. And once you start desiring things, or you start to have expectations, I forget what my old counselor used to say about expectation. It would be in the
unspoken expectations turn to future resentments, or unrealistic expectations turn into resentments. Pretty much,
expectations either met or unmet or whatever. Like there becomes a lot of resentment kind of thing. And so the challenge for me was, what if you could just not have an expectation? And I'm like, fucking ask the impossible.
I don't think it is.
No, you're right. I'm usually, I tend to deflect with humor and standoffishness of like, she was totally right. Like, okay, how do I not have expectations? I'm better at that now than I was like 10 years ago.
How would you say not having an expectation? How do you do that?
Learn to be in the moment and not be forward thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say that because it's just about being present.
Yeah.
Because 5 minutes from now doesn't exist. Yesterday doesn't exist. So the only thing that's real is this right here. So if I can just stay right here, right, and then whatever comes of it, it's okay. But the expectation is I'm predicting the future.
Yes.
And when I predict the future, I'm always going to get let down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like you have expectations that people are going to treat you a certain way or come to your aid, and then you end up with betrayal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like we were talking about earlier, chosen family versus blood family, right?
Yeah.
There's expectations of how our blood family is supposed to treat us, and then you have your chosen family that treat you way better than the people that you would expect to treat you, right?
Yeah.
And so you get this resentment towards your blood family, but then you are far more in love with the family that chooses you, and I think that's a result. But again, I think a lot of these are just Western issues.
Yeah.
I don't think that a lot of other cultures have this issue, because I think they're far better at living in the moment and being present. I don't know, but that's again something that I think would be fun to go travel and test that theory and just talk to people and see what they think and see how they feel and see what life is like and how they think about things.
Sounds like great plans. I have a lot of adventures to go through.
Dude, we got the whole last half of our lives to go have fun, man. Let's just have fun.
I'm in.
Seeing clients is fun, but do we really want to do this thing day in, day out? No, we need to
sit here, talk shit, and make stupid jokes.
Well, that too. We're always going to do that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right.
Get paid for
on or off the internet. We're going to do that shit. But no, it's like let's have fun with this career that we really couldn't have in previous careers, right? And then just go see the fucking world. Like, if we're going to be in the position where we have the ability to be far more fluid with our schedules and what we do, why not? I think it would be fun, because we could travel to Thailand, Vietnam, freaking Austria, whatever, and still see our clients via telehealth, granted in the middle of the night, but okay, so we make a couple sacrifices, we still treat our people, but then we are also going out and collecting new information and then giving it out to the public to kind of dispel the mystery around psychology as well, the same way we're going to try to dispel the mystery of law enforcement.
The mystery of law enforcement.
The why we do what we do.
Wow.
Like we were talking about, is like law enforcement, it keeps too many secrets, and that's what causes all that misunderstanding of us.
I've decided I'm going to withhold my comments right now because I am super fucking jaded
on
some things.
Fair enough. We'll get there.
Yeah, there's I think there's some things that I have to say that are accurate, or at least accurate from my experience, but I'm like, no, I'm also going to recognize it.
Probably not right time.
Yeah. Maybe someday.
Anything you say or do can be used against you.
Yes. And there's policies against that. Yes. The Loudermill hearing. Thanks for bringing that up, fucker.
Well, hey, man. Everybody's got to go through it at least once.
Or twice.
Or twice. I mean, hey, sometimes you guys...
Sometimes you're a slow learner.
Sometimes
Obviously,
it
like
takes
me.
a couple tries. It's okay.
All right. Well,
On to the next one. Yep.